Ladies and gentlemen, we gotta talk about the 5 tips. The 5 tips that are guaranteed to level up your game so that you start popping off and hard carrying all your teammates in every single Valorant game that you want to play. Speaking of popping off, smash that sub button right now because we're gonna be pumping out tons more Valorant videos in the future. And if there's any advanced Valorant concepts that you want us to cover, definitely let us know in the comments down below so that we can start making way more advanced guides for the community. Anyways, without further ado, let's just jump right into it, shall we? Now, the first and most important tip that every single person needs to start doing in their games is you need to start covering the angles for your allies and trading out for kills. The worst possible mistake and scenario in Valorant, period, is if you are right next to an ally, they get killed, but you let the enemy get away without getting killed himself. Every single time someone peeks one of your teammates that is near you or peeks you, that person should die as a result of that because multiple people should be trying to swing through and trying to potentially trade out for that kill. Now, every single time you push onto a location with a teammate, make sure that you're calling to your teammate where you're going to cover. Say, hey, I'm going to be covering vent, or hey, I got the straightforward angle. Telling your teammates exactly where you're going to be covering lets him know that that side is clear, and if you take fire, then that side is obviously not clear and he can adjust his aim accordingly, but then he can peek the other angle, and if he gets swung on, you could instantly flick to where your friend was peeking from or your teammate and trade out the kill with him. This is incredibly important to get right, and it's going to be a really good thing that you get in the habit of right now because once ranked mode comes out in the next couple of weeks, you're going to need to get this on point. It is so important that you trade out with kills and you have clear and concise comms when you're pushing onto site with your teammate. Now, another thing that you could definitely call and say to your teammates is make sure that you say, hey, I'll cover you when you use your ability, or hey, I'll cover you when you grab the orb, because I can't tell you how many times I've whipped out my recon arrow with Sova, tried to launch it down a corridor, only to get peeked and killed, and my teammates are looking who knows where. But now that I've been playing with more and more teammates and we've been trying to coordinate, they will often cover my ability and then I will inversely cover theirs when they're trying to set up for an ability play so that they don't get punished in that tiny cast time window. And it's the same way for like rezzing on Sage or anything like that. And when you're grabbing orbs, you can make sure to potentially punish anybody that wants to peek your teammates for trying to grab that orb. So that's extremely important as far as communication and protecting each other when you're trying to execute a game plan. Now, the last thing that you need to do for this tip is just make sure that you call an enemy who you died to, what character. Sometimes your teammates don't have enough time to look in the top left corner and they don't know exactly what character, and you need to call how much HP you did to that character. If you don't call the character, your teammates might push them and then it's a Reyna. The Reyna gets full healed, or the Reyna becomes intangible and then she turns the tables on you, or there could be all kinds of characters like Jets or Omens or anything like that. It's just very important that you give clear, concise information to your team so that they can actively punish the person that you get killed by a lot easier. Now, the next big tip that you need to start doing right now is master magazine management. I see it way too often that people reload when they use like 5 or 10 bullets when enemies are nearby. It is incredibly important to know when you can reload instead of just reloading all the time. I know that from a lot of games, especially a game like Call of Duty, you basically reload on demand, but I can't tell you how easy it is for you to get punished when you're reloading. If you have 20 bullets left in your Phantom and it's a 1v1 scenario, ask yourself, do you really need to reload and get those extra 5 bullets in order to take the 1v1 and win it? It definitely is a habit that you have to work on breaking, but I watched a recent tournament where the player Brax literally killed the entire team plus the Lear from Reyna with a single clip from the Vandal. Yes, I know that that's insane, but it just goes to show you that great magazine management can actually hard carry so many different fights, because if Brax would have reloaded at any point there, he would have got swung on and died, but he realized the pressure he was under, he realized who was pushing him, and he realized that he had to clutch up with the ammo that he had in his magazine. On top of this, please, please, please do not peek at angle while reloading, and if you do plan to reload or you need to reload, try to make sure that there's no one in your immediate LOS and that you'll have enough time to get the reload off, even if someone full sprints to you from where you're currently at, so you can hear their footsteps and you'll know that they're pushing you, but your reload will actually be done by the time they get there so that you could still fight and duel them. Now, as a last tip as far as reloading is concerned, keep in mind that reloading makes noise for the enemies. Enemies can hear you reloading, so if you're really close by, you know enemies are close by, do not reload, please. They can easily come out and punish you, and if you hear an enemy reloading, keep that audio in mind because that's something that you could easily push. Now for the next tip that you need to start doing right away, and it has to do with giving away your position when moving. I know that you don't want to give away your position, right? You want to walk around the map, not tell anyone where you are. But if you ever get revealed, you ever make some noise, you ever get a kill, you ever get revealed by Cypher ult or Recon Arrow or anything like that, in that scenario, there is no point in walking anymore. Running can get you into a better, safer place or position much quicker, and the enemies already know where you are, so it doesn't matter that they constantly know where you're moving to. Sure, once you get some distance, then you can go back to being a little bit incognito. You can go back to walking again. But in the instances after you get a kill or the instances right when you get information, keep in mind that enemies are going to know where you are and they're going to kind of have a general understanding of where you are for a while. If you slow peek a corner and enemies already know you're coming from that direction, it's going to be really easy for them to punish you for that. So definitely keep that in mind and don't be afraid to move far more rapidly or run around if your location is already revealed. Now, the next tip that we have for you is how to deal with ops. Ops are so powerful and sometimes they can feel oppressive to deal with. And I'm going to break down everything you need to know in order to shut them down. So the first thing you need to understand about ops is why are they good and bad and what are they good and bad at doing? So an op is very good at holding long sightlines and punishing enemies for peeking him, and it's really good at holding sightlines. Now, what is it really bad at? It's very bad at retaking a site, and that is exactly the scenario that you want to force them into. Now, how do you force an op into actually retaking a site if they were on defense or anything like that? How do you force them to actually retake a site that they're holding? Well, you want to be using utility and LOS blocking abilities to really make it so that they don't know whether or not you're pushing onto point, because they don't want to be fighting you in a close effective range, so it forces them to relocate. In addition to that, you never want to be peeking along sideline at all if you know the enemy could buy an operator, because it's incredibly risky. It's so easy for them to potentially get a kill on you and get out safely. If you are close range and someone is opping and they killed one of your allies, we talked about trading kills before, but it's so important that at that exact moment you swing to try to punish the opper. There's a long time between each shot, and you have to punish them in that window, especially if it's close range. It's very important to push up on them and punish them, and then you can even take their op if you want to, but it's extremely important to at least shut that down and not let them get away with the kill for free. Now, if you do have to peek an op, what I would highly suggest you to do is actually double peek an op, where one of you goes short peek and one of you goes a farther peek, and you commit to trying to trade with the operator. More than likely, one of you are going to die, but if there's only one opper left, like that's the only person on the enemy team, you do not want to set up a scenario where you peek them multiple times solo. It's far better for them to get a kill and you trade out than give them the potential to potentially trade out for one kill, set up in another angle, and then trade out for the alternate kill. Now, moving on to tip number 5. This is talking about what you do after you win round 1, the pistol round. So winning round 1 is something that can snowball into many more rounds in the future. If you win that first round, what you need to be doing is buying a good solid weapon plus armor, because the second round can be free. The enemy often will not buy anything, and even if they can, they're going to be buying shotguns or anything like that, and it's going to mess up their economy. But if you buy a really well-rounded weapon like the Spectre and armor, you're in such a huge advantage going into the second round that it's almost a guaranteed win. You could snowball that first round win into a second round win, and on the third round, here's what I'm going to tell you to do. If you won the second round, you didn't lose your gun, do not buy an upgrade to a rifle. If you do buy an upgrade to a rifle, you're going to be throwing your Spectre on the ground. You're not going to be getting the maximum amount of value for the price you paid. And this is a chance to win what I would call a bonus round. Sure, the enemy saved round 2, and now they upgraded to ARs, but if you play outside of their effective range and in closer corridors, you still have a pretty decent possibility to win. It's not the difference between pistols and a Spectre. A Spectre and an AR is a much closer distance, and you can still win those if you take effective fights and take effective trades. On top of that, any trade you get, you can trade out for better weapons, and if you manage to win this bonus round altogether, your team can effectively trade up and take the enemy's ARs. The enemy is still going to have to save for a round, and your team is going to have some number of ARs, plus you're going to be able to stack a lot of the economy for future rounds, which could snowball even harder into potential operators and things like that, that make it so you can really leave the enemy in the dust. So pistol round could turn into 2 rounds very easily, and if you win that bonus round, it could turn into a 4th round win, a 5th round win, a 6th round win, and that just snowballs over and over again and compounds into you potentially winning the entire game just off of that one decision, that one clutch round could turn into many more rounds won. And then you might be asking, okay, but what if I lose the bonus round? Wasn't that a waste? No, it wasn't really a waste, because you guarantee at least to get some amount of trades, mess up the enemy's economy at least a little bit, and even if you lose, you still have saved the money because you won the Spectre round, and you might have lost this round, but you're still gonna have enough money, more than enough money, to buy ARs for the preceding round. So now you're on a level playing field with the enemy, and you're still up 2 rounds to 1. So it's really not that bad of a scenario, even if you lose. So I would highly suggest you try this out. I would highly suggest you understand this concept, because it's going to let you win a lot more games and potentially snowball games incredibly easily where you just roll the enemy team. Speaking of rolling, I need you to roll on over and smash that sub button. I mean, look at it. It's just so beautiful. Look at that sub button. It's just perfectly symmetrical. How can you not? Anyways, if you have any ideas about any future advanced guys that you want to see, please let me know in the comments down below. But that's all we got for you today. I'm Coach Mills, and until next time.